Photoshop Project 2, Vintage Car Montage, Stage 3, Applying Styles and Filters. Photoshop has a very large number of options for creating artistic effects. There are a bunch of built-in patterns and styles and filters and textures and all kinds of things that you can apply. We can add these to any layer. How it is affecting the layer is going to depend on what type of layer it is, whether it is a embedded image, whether it is a rasterized image. There are a lot of variables involved in it. We are going to begin by adding texture to our shape layer. We want to select our rounded rectangle to begin with, and we are going to open up the Styles panel. If you don't have your Styles panel visible, go to Window and select Styles, and you're going to see what comes up as a whole bunch of little tiny icons. It's a nice kind of a rough thing, but it's a little hard to see what everything is, and we're looking for a specific one, so the name would be handy. So go up to the menu and select the large list. Now that's going to give us a whole bunch of different things, but these are not the ones we want to use right now. So we're going to go into the menu again, and we're going to select textures. There are tons of different styles. Look at all these. They're fantastic. But select textures. We're going to replace. Don't append the list. Replace the list. We can always bring this list back. It's the standard default list, and you can always redo that. But if we append it, you're going to end up with a list that's 3 miles long. So just say replace. And now make sure your rectangle layer is selected. Find the oak and apply that style. Look at that. Isn't that fantastic? And you can see that there are actually 3 different layers of effects to put that together. So this is really cool, and we love this. We're great with this. We're going to collapse that so we don't have all of that staring at us. Okay, the next thing that we want to do is apply an effect to our inset layers. Now you're going to have to forgive me for a few minutes. I'm going to have to back out of this and realign my Photoshop file. I had a computer issue. Well, I've actually had everything lock up, and I ended up with losing the Photoshop file that I was working on. So give me a minute. I'm going to get this all caught back up, and then I'll be back. That looks much better. Okay, now we want to apply a custom layer effect. With the left insert layer selected, go to Layer and choose Layer Style, Drop Shadow. Make sure that the Preview button is selected, and make sure that the Use Global Light is selected. And we're going to make some changes in the dialog box. We're going to change, first of all, the opacity. You can slide it or you can type it in. We want 50% opacity. You can start to just see the beginning of this. We're going to set the distance out for the drop shadow to 10 pixels. We want to have a spread, which is the percent the effect expands beyond the layer content. We want that spread to go up a little bit. We want about 5% there. And we want the size to actually be 10 pixels out. Okay, look at that. We've got a little bit of a drop shadow going on there. This is really cool. We want to put in a second version of this. So we're going to click and add another drop shadow. Now the one on the bottom is a duplicate of the one on the top. So we're going to change the one on the top now. We want to click the color swatch, which is this over here next to the blend mode. And right now it's black, but we really would like to match that red that we used for the outline. So let's go down here and pick that red up. Oh, I'm off onto the oak. So let me get on the red a little better. Still on the oak. Let me try it from another. There we go. Now I've got the red. I'm going to say okay to that. Now I want to make some other changes to that. So I am going to deselect the global lighting. Global lighting is something that would be used throughout the entire filter gallery. Anytime we apply a filter, global light, okay, that's what it's going to use, is that direction of lighting. We want to differ from this. So we are going to actually type in a negative 150 for this to replace the global light. So now look, and you can actually see right here, we're starting to see a little bit of that red drop shadow coming through. We want to change our distance out to be 20 pixels. We want a 10% spread. I know the book says pixels, but it is actually 10%. And we are doing a 20 pixel size. And you can see the change that we've done on that now. And make sure that you read the section, the 2 pages in the book, page 136 and 137, that cover layer styles. It's really informative. We want to copy this effect and move it on to the other inserts. So we can do this real easily. All we have to do is click with your Alt key, click and drag the effect up. We're going to put this onto the center. And again, we're going to click and drag and put this on right insert. And so now we have that same drop shadow effect applied to all 3 of them. Oh, I think I accidentally moved one off. And click with my Alt key effect and apply that effect to the center. And now I've got all 3 of them back again like I should. I'm going to go ahead and collapse those, but then I'm going to re-expand my left insert. And I want to pick up that lower drop shadow and copy just it onto the car layer. So let me hold down my Alt key, click on that bottom drop shadow only, and you can see it says drop shadow as I'm dragging, and I'm going to drop that on the car. So I now have a little bit of a drop shadow on my car, and I'm going to make some adjustments to that. I'm double clicking this to open up the dialog box. I can now make an adjustment. Whoa, blending options. No, I want my drop shadow. Let me click on that. I don't know how I got blending options. Let me click on this, and now I can go actually and make an adjustment on the layer itself. I'm going to click and drag that drop shadow down a little bit because I would like this. I'm not changing the angle. I'm not changing the spread. I'm only changing the distance. I want to change my distance to about 50 pixels. And I can drag to do that, or I can go in and type that in to accept and make that change. But isn't that cool? You can actually do this right on the layer. And I'm going to say okay and make that change to it. Let me collapse that effects on both of those. The next thing that I want to do is to add a filter. We can put in those nice artistic filters. And so I want to add that to each one of these little items at the bottom. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to select Inset 3 to start. And I'm going to go up to Filter, and I'm going to select Filter Gallery. Now, the last filter used is going to be the first one that came up. And even though my machine crashed and burned, Photoshop remembered that the last thing I had selected was artistic cutout. You can slide and around to bring that item up so you can actually see this on screen. And then you can apply the artistic setting of cutout. I don't know which one is going to come up on your machine. Everybody's is probably going to come up a little different depending on who used that last, or if you're at home. I don't know what the default's going to be on that. But if you look, you can see there are a whole bunch of different settings. And if you desire and you don't particularly want to use the same one that we're using, select one and go with that for all 3. What we're going to do is pick something, and I think instead of cutout, I'm going to pick plastic wrap just because I kind of like it. And I'm going to take and make my highlight setting, strength, and my details. I can have all of these adjustments. They're going to have different adjustments for each of the different settings, but you can look through all of these filters, and there's just a bunch of them that you can do, just depending on whatever kind of effect you want to have. Now, the cool thing about this is because our layers are smart layers, these are non-destructive. So when I get this and pick this up and say okay to this, it's going to apply that to the layer. And if I want to see, look and go, oh, maybe I really didn't like this, I want to change this. Oh, there, turn it off. It won't hurt it. If this was a pixel layer and not a smart layer, I wouldn't be able to do this. I'd make the change and that would be it. I'd be done. I couldn't undo it. Well, I could immediately undo it, but I couldn't do anything else with it. I'm kind of stuck. So this way it is non-destructive and I have control over what I'm going to do with it. Now I want to add these to the other insets. I want them all to look the same. So just like we did for copying the other effect, this one, the artistic, I can do the same thing. So I'm going to hold down my Alt key, click on Smart Filter, and drag down and copy this to inset 2. Oh, look, there it went. Again, I'm going to pick that up and copy that down and put that on inset 1. There you go. Fast and easy.